We are going to explore how to do the configuration to have data segregation based on business unit in SPM. This is from Yokohama release, as you are going to use the security data filters and ACLs. Before we go to the solution itself, so the use case, just a reminder, is as a result, I want people belong to a business unit. They should see only the demands and projects from the same business unit. So in this case, I have two business units, finance, HR. I should first make sure the demands and projects are associated to a business unit to make this, put this in place. On the configuration, we have a option to say as well, if there's no business unit, also I should have access. I'll see that in more details. But there's also the box field on the demand and project you can use to make that relationship between demands and projects and business units. Then we need to map people to those business units. And the recommended way to do this is to have a group and identify that group on the business unit, right? So the first thing is we need to create a field. I'm calling data filter group as an example, where is a reference to the group table. And use that field, I can identify the group that should have access to that business unit and consequently to the demands and projects. And then, of course, we need to add users to those groups. So in this case, I have Christine, she belongs to both groups, so she would see project demands from both business units. And I have Paul and Eileen that should have access only to HR, so they belong only to the HR group. So with that mapping, we are able to find, from the person or the user that is logged in on the instance, filter only the demands and projects based on the groups mapping to the business unit. Then with that, that's how we are going to do the access control, right, to make that happen. So first thing, we will leverage the new security data filter available from Yokohama, create those data filters at demand and project tables. Using this filter, we're going to see more details in the solution itself, but just overview is business unit from the project or from the demand, dot walk to data filter group fields in the business unit is one of my groups. So the logged in user will have this filter and return only the demands and projects where the user belongs to the group, right? That's associated with the business unit. The security filter, there are more details in another presentation that we published as well. The security filter basically add filters before retrieving the information from the database, right? So to avoid to bring information. So it happens before the ACLs. So the data is already filtered when it comes from the server, from the data server to the database. Right, with that done, we are filtering the data coming from the database. However, we still need to create some ACL. So there's a deny unless ACL available from Xanadu release that deny access first. And we should create this because to avoid another way of accessing the project demands, for example, from the parent table, from the task table, from the planned task table. So with this, we put the same condition, business unit dot data filter group is one of my groups. So if the user goes to the planned task table, for example, this ACL will taking place and avoid to see the project information there. For the related table, so cost plan, benefits, and project tasks, for example, we are going to create a deny unless ACL as well for each of those tables, for example. I'm going to show for cost plans, but you could use the same logic for others, using a new option here that's called control by reference, meaning provide ACL based on another record. In this case, just put an example here. For cost plan, I would say control by reference task. So if I have access to the task, then I have access to the cost plan. So see those things work together. You don't need to repeat all these conditions, each ACL from related tables. You just leverage this reference. So this ACL is basically controlling the access for every other create tables using this control by reference. So we're going to have a look in more details in the solution. Okay, we will review first how we do the mapping between the business unit and the groups and its member, because the reference from the managed project to the business unit is out of the box, but we need to link a business unit to the groups to allow access to those members. So here's the list of groups I have created, and as you see here, I create a new group type data filter just to make it easier and be able to filter these groups on the reference field as well, so to not mix up with other types of groups. So if I look to one of those groups, I have this group called HR BU access, for example, where I tag this type data filter, and it has 4 members. Similarly, I have a finance group, BU access, that's the name. It's good to have a name convention as well. Type is data filter, and it has 2 members. Now, and when I move to the business unit, so I have a business unit here called HR. You see there is a new field. This is a custom field called U data filter group example, and I select here the HRBU access group. The first one we just review that has 4 members. So really link these people through the group, link these people to the HR business unit. And let's have a look quickly on that field. Is a simple reference field. Is a reference field, that's the label data filter group. Is a reference to the group table. When I apply a filter, contains data filter, just to minimize the number of groups I would see on that field. And same thing if I have a look to the finance BU, business unit finance, I have here the data filter group, finance BU access. So if you look on this list here, that's returning only those groups where the type contains data filter. So we don't mix up with other type of groups that are used across the platform. So now that we have done this mapping between BU and groups and users, we can move on to the next step of the configuration. That's creating the secure data filters at demand and project level based on that mapping. Walk from the business unit fields on demand and project to the data filter group we just saw on the business unit is one of my groups, one of the user groups. Okay, so I'll go to the security filters. See the list that I have on my instance. I have created those 2 PM projects and the and demand. So look on the first one. Table is the project, is active, there's some descriptions, and most importantly, we have the filters. Condition is from the project fields, business unit dot filter grouping. So just have a quick look. It's just a dot walk from the business unit data filter field is empty in case there is no business unit associated to the project, or there is no data filter group associated to the business unit that's related to the project, or the business unit dot data filter group is dynamically one of my groups. So this will check if I belong to one of those groups we mapped to the business unit, and the mapping between project and business unit as well. And another thing is security attribute here. Condition user is authenticated, because you want to apply this for authenticated users. Another point, mode, we are using the filter if security attribute condition is met. So we want to apply this filter based on the match of these conditions. Exactly the same thing we have created for the DMN demand table. So let's have a quick look. See here, DM table, and exactly the same conditions as well. With the security data filters in place, we can now move on to create the deny unless ACLs. at demand project to avoid any access from the parent table or any backdoor access to those records. So I'm on the ACLs, access control, I filter by PM project, this example, and you see here I have a deny unless type of ACL I've created before. Let's have a look on that one. So operation is read because I want to restrict access to reads. Type is deny unless. And you see on the conditions here, user is authenticated, and the same condition we had on the data filter to check if business unit data filter group is empty. Again, for those cases where a business unit is not identified at the project, or a business unit is identified but there is no data filter group identified in the business unit, or business unit project business unit dot data filter is dynamic one of my groups. So it's like the same condition as the secure data filters, but now in the ACL, in case the user access directly the parent table, the ACLs will be applied, or any other type of backdoor access direct to the table in here. So it's just an additional security layer. And it's like the same thing for the demand. I have a deny unless type of ACL for operation reads with those same conditions. Okay, then the last step is to create the deny unless access ACLs to the related tables based on the parent record. In this case, I'm going to show example based on the cost plans, based on the access to the related task, because that's the way we identify the demand and projects based on a field called task. But let's have a look how that works. But before we look to the ACL, I'm just want to show here we in the cost plan, and the reason we are using the task because this is the field called label is project demand that makes the reference to the demand and project in this case, and the field name is task. So that's the way is create a relationship between cost plans and the related projects or demands. So, okay, then you go to the access controls. So ACLs again, I'm filtering by the table cost plan. And you see here there is a deny unless ACL I have created before. Open that up. Go to the top here. So you see operations read. Decision type it's deny unless as well. So deny first and provide access if the conditions are met. In this case, important here, I have selected the option advanced that will provide me additional options to define the ACL. So advanced is true, and I scroll down, see I have here these advanced conditions, and let me remove so we can just see here. On here, I can see the fields from the cost plan table, and I have selected project and demands. That's the same field here we see on the cost plan form, right? So I'm going to select that one, project demand, includes. You see the label here, but if I refresh, go back here, see the technical name of that field, task. So that's how we apply conditions, access control condition based in access to another record that's referenced on the cost plan. So that will prevent me to access cost plans from project demands that I don't have access if I try to access the table directly. Just additional comments. As you probably know, to work with ACLs, I need to elevate role, need to have access to elevate my role to security admin. That also is also required when working with security data filters. So you need to have this role to elevate your access before you starting creating security data filters. With this, we cover the example based on business unit, Hope that's helpful and provide insights how to make the configuration. And thank you for your time.